Hello, and welcome back to Today English podcast. My name is Laura, and I'm here to guide you on your journey to clear, confident, and natural English. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a lesson. Your support truly helps this channel grow. All right, take a deep breath, relax, and let's begin today's session. I want to take you into a simple moment, a quiet moment. A very human moment. Imagine this. You're standing in a small room with soft yellow lights above your head. The room feels warm, but your hands feel cold. A circle of people sit in front of you, waiting for you to speak. They are not judging you, not angry, not unfriendly. They are just waiting. Waiting for your voice. Waiting for your words. Waiting for you to say something clear, something simple, something honest. But inside you, your heart is beating fast. Your tongue feels heavy. Your thoughts feel messy, like clothes on the floor of a small room after a long week. You want to speak. You want to communicate. You want to be understood. But something feels blocked. This moment, this quiet pressure, is the beginning of our story today. It is the moment many of us meet when we try to speak clearly and confidently in English. And today, in this episode of Today English Podcast, we will walk together through a long, gentle, cinematic journey that helps you speak with more confidence, more clarity, and more freedom. You are not alone in this room. I am here with you. And we will go step by step, slowly, easily, like walking down a small road on a peaceful afternoon. Before we move deeper into this story, imagine this person in the room as you, or maybe someone like you. Maybe you are learning English to get a better job. Maybe you want to travel. Maybe you want to talk to people from around the world. Maybe you want to make friends. Or maybe you want something very simple. You want to feel good when you open your mouth and your English comes out smoothly, cleanly, softly, strong but calm. This story is not just a lesson. It is a journey into the mind of communication. It is a journey into the feeling of speaking. And like any journey, it begins with uncertainty. The uncertainty you feel in that room. The uncertainty of not knowing exactly what to say or how to say it. And yet, this uncertainty is not your enemy. It is your teacher. As you stand in front of this small group, one thing becomes very clear. You can think in English, but sometimes the words get stuck on the way out. It feels like your ideas are fast, but your mouth is slow. You try to make a clean sentence, but your brain tries to help too fast, pushing 3 or 4 ideas at the same time. And suddenly, your sentence breaks and your confidence with it. This is where many language learners lose their flow. They think confidence is something you get one day. But confidence is not a final destination. Confidence is a relationship. It is a relationship with your own voice. And that relationship grows the same way a plant grows, slowly, gently, with patience, with sunlight, with time. If you look at the faces in front of you in that small room, something interesting happens. You realize they are not perfect speakers either. They are learning just like you. They also make mistakes. They also feel shy. And this small discovery gives you a tiny moment of calm. A little breath. A soft opening in your chest. You feel the beginning of confidence, not because you suddenly became perfect, but because you allowed yourself to be human. You allowed yourself to be enough. So you take a breath. A deep one. A simple one. You let the air fill your chest, and you let the air leave your body slowly. And then you say your first sentence. It is not perfect, but it is clear. And the faces in front of you smile. This is the first lesson of communication. Clarity does not come from perfect grammar. It comes from slow, simple, clean ideas. It comes from breathing before speaking. It comes from giving your words space, like giving children space to play. As you speak, your voice is still a little shaky. But something inside you knows you can continue. You notice that when you speak too fast, the words trip over each other. When you slow down, the words become friends. They walk together, not fighting for attention. This is the second lesson. The secret to clear communication is rhythm, not speed. Rhythm. Like waves in the ocean. Like footsteps on a long path. Like your heartbeat when you breathe calmly. And as you feel this rhythm, something magical begins inside you. You realize that speaking clearly is not about sounding like a native speaker. It is about sounding like yourself, but a calmer, more focused, more open version of yourself. The room becomes warmer. Or maybe your body becomes warmer. You speak a little more. You share a short story about your morning, your breakfast, your bus ride, your work, or your dream. It does not matter. What matters is the feeling of your voice moving in the air, the feeling of your words connecting with the people in front of you, the feeling of being understood. And in that moment, you realize something very important. Clarity is connection. And connection is confidence. They grow together. They support each other. You cannot have one without the other. But then something happens. A small moment, but powerful. You forget a word. A simple word. A normal word. Maybe comfortable, maybe usually, maybe because. Something easy. And suddenly, your mind goes blank. You panic a little. You freeze. The warm room feels cold again. The faces in front of you look unclear. You feel embarrassed. You want to disappear. But this moment right here is the true heart of our story today. Because in this moment, you discover the real challenge of communication. Not the grammar. Not the vocabulary. The challenge is the fear of the pause. You see, most people think good speakers speak without stopping. But the truth is the opposite. Great speakers pause all the time. Pauses are not mistakes. Pauses are power. Pauses give your brain space. Pauses give your listener clarity. Pauses make your voice sound thoughtful instead of nervous. When you forget a word, you are not failing. You are discovering the true nature of communication. Communication is not a straight line. It is a dance. And sometimes in that dance, you miss a step. But the music continues. And so do you. So in this moment, when you forget the word, you breathe. You smile a little. You say something simple like, "Let me think for a moment," or "I'm looking for the right word," or "Give me a second." And something surprising happens. The people in front of you wait. They wait without pressure. They wait with patience. And your confidence grows again. Because now you understand, communication is not about never making mistakes. It is about how you move through the moments when mistakes happen. You find the word again. You continue speaking. You finish your short story. And when you sit down, something inside you feels different. Lighter. Brighter. Not perfect, but growing. You discovered something important in that small room. Confidence starts with permission. Permission to speak simply. Permission to pause. Permission to breathe. Permission to be imperfect. Permission to be human. As you walk out of the room, the sun is setting. The sky is soft and orange. The air outside feels cool on your face. You walk slowly, thinking about your experience. You realize your voice is something you have carried all your life, but you are only now learning how to use it in a new language. And like anything new, it feels strange at first. But the more you touch it, the more familiar it becomes. You think about how children learn to speak. They do not study grammar books. They do not worry about mistakes. They speak with curiosity. They speak with courage. They speak because they want to connect. And in this moment, you understand something very deep. Clarity grows from curiosity. And confidence grows from connection. You arrive home and sit on your bed or your chair or your sofa. You feel tired, but not a bad kind of tired. A good tired. The kind of tired you feel after learning something new, something important. You realize that clear communication is not just about speaking. It is about being present, being honest, being slow enough to understand yourself, being brave enough to let others understand you. And with this understanding, something inside you shifts. A small transformation. A quiet, gentle transformation. You feel a new kind of strength in your voice, even if no one else can hear it yet. But you can hear it. You can feel it. As you close your eyes, you remember your shaky beginning in that room. You remember your breath. You remember your pauses. You remember your small victories. And you understand the first big takeaway of our journey today. Communication is not a performance. It is a relationship. And like all relationships, it needs patience, kindness, and time. This is the end of section 1, but it is only the beginning of your story. In the next section, we will travel deeper. We will follow you into a new environment, a new challenge, a new moment where your voice will grow stronger. And we will continue this simple but powerful journey towards speaking more clearly and confidently in English, step by step, word by word, breath by breath. The next morning begins quietly, with soft sunlight touching your room before your eyes are even open. You lie in your bed for a moment, listening to the gentle hum of life outside your window. Cars passing, birds calling, people talking somewhere in the distance. It is a normal morning, but something inside you feels different from yesterday. Something small but important. You feel a soft energy, a gentle warmth, a quiet confidence from your experience in the small room. Today, you want to test your voice again. Not in a class, not with students, but in the real world, in the normal world, in the loud and unpredictable world that we all walk through every day. So you get dressed, you drink a cup of tea or coffee, and you decide to take a walk outside. But this walk is not just for exercise. It is part of your journey. A simple walk can be a powerful teacher. Today, the city will be your classroom. Your ears will be your guide. Your voice will be your companion. And your courage will be your quiet friend beside you. As you step outside, the first thing you notice is the sound. The city is a place full of voices. People speaking in many languages, cars honking, buses stopping, children laughing, shop doors opening and closing, street vendors calling out their offers. At first, the noise feels too much, too fast, too crowded. The voices mix and blend into a chaotic sound cloud. But after a few minutes, you begin to hear something else. Between the loud noises, you notice small rhythms, patterns, a natural music. Every voice has its own shape. Every conversation has its own melody. Some people speak fast, like a rushing river. Some speak slow, like walking through a quiet park. Some speak softly, like a secret. Some speak loudly, like a celebration. And suddenly, a simple truth becomes clear to you. Communication is not only about words. It is about rhythm. It is about music. It is about flow. And this realization changes something inside you. You understand that to speak confidently, you do not need to sound perfect. You need to find your rhythm, your natural speaking rhythm. And even though you may not have found it yet, you are getting closer. You continue walking down the street and decide to challenge yourself, just a little. You choose to enter a small cafe on the corner. The cafe smells warm, like bread and coffee and fresh vanilla. People sit inside, talking quietly. Some are working on laptops. Some are reading. Some are just relaxing. You feel your heart beat a little faster as you walk toward the counter. You know that ordering something in English is simple, but still, part of you feels nervous. But you promised yourself that today you will explore your voice. Today you will practice clarity. Today you will practice confidence. So you take a breath as you reach the counter, and the person behind the counter smiles and says, "Hi, what can I get for you?" And for a moment, you freeze again. The question is simple, but your mind is suddenly full of too many options. Coffee, tea, latte, something cold, something hot, something sweet, something simple. You feel the pressure of deciding fast. But then you remember what you learned yesterday. You remember the power of the pause. So you smile a little and say gently, "Give me a moment, please." And the worker nods with a friendly expression. The pressure disappears. The room feels lighter. And you feel your confidence return. You order something small, something easy. Maybe a tea, maybe a coffee, maybe a simple sandwich. When you speak, your voice is clearer than you expected. Your words come out gently and slowly. And something interesting happens. The person behind the counter understands you immediately. Not because your English is perfect, but because you speak with a calm rhythm. And this teaches you another important lesson. Clarity comes from calmness, not from perfection. You pay, you take your drink, and you sit down by the window. You look outside at the people walking, talking, working, living. Everyone is communicating. Everyone is trying to be understood. Everyone is learning, even in their own languages. And this helps you relax. As you sit in the cafe, you begin to listen more deeply. You listen not only to what people are saying, but how they are saying it. You notice that clear communication is not made of big vocabulary. Most conversations around you use simple words, short sentences, friendly tones. People repeat themselves. People pause. People correct themselves. People say things like, you know, I mean, okay, so, right, yeah, and let me think. These are natural pieces of spoken English. These are the details that make communication feel alive, real, human. And suddenly, you feel something soften inside you. You realize you do not need to speak like a textbook. You need to speak like a person. A simple person. A real person. A person who wants to connect. You finish your drink and continue your walk through the city. The sun is brighter now. The sidewalks are busy. People brush past you as they hurry to work or home or somewhere important. As you walk, you decide to practice speaking quietly to yourself. You describe what you see. A woman crossing the street. A man riding a bike. A child holding a balloon. A dog running fast. You continue softly. The air is warm. The sky is blue. The street is busy. You practice simple sentences. You practice slow speaking. You practice gentle breathing while talking. And the more you do this, the more natural it feels. You are building a small bridge between your thoughts and your voice. And each small sentence is a new wooden plank on that bridge. You find a quiet park and sit on a bench. The wind brushes your hair. The trees move slightly. You take another slow breath and begin thinking about communication again. You ask yourself, why do I want to speak clearly? Why do I want to communicate confidently? The answer comes slowly, but it comes honestly. You want to connect with people. You want to be understood. You want to feel the power of your own voice. You want to express yourself without fear. You want to open the door to new relationships, new opportunities, new experiences. And these desires are not small. They are big. They are human. They are beautiful. And when you remember your reason, your motivation, your purpose, your confidence grows naturally. Because confidence needs a foundation. And your foundation is connection. As you sit there, you see an older man feeding birds. He looks peaceful, calm, at ease. Without thinking, you smile at him. And he smiles back. And then something interesting happens. He says, "Beautiful day, isn't it?" And suddenly you have a new challenge. A conversation. A simple conversation with a stranger. You feel a small wave of nervousness again. But you breathe. You remember your rhythm. You remember your clarity. And you say softly, "Yes, it is. Very beautiful." He continues talking. Not much. Just small talk. About the weather. The birds. The quiet morning. You respond with simple sentences. Clear, slow, relaxed sentences. And as you speak, something surprising happens inside you. Your nervousness melts away. The conversation becomes easy, comfortable, natural. And in that small moment, you realize something powerful. Confidence grows not from big speeches or big moments, but from small, simple conversations. After a few minutes, the man leaves, and you continue sitting on the bench, smiling a little. You feel proud, not because you said something amazing, but because you spoke without fear. You spoke with clarity. You spoke with rhythm. You spoke with presence. And that is victory. You begin walking again, and as you move through the city, you realize that clear communication is not a skill you learn in one day. It is a journey. A long, slow, beautiful journey. And every time you speak, even one sentence, you take another step on that journey. Every mistake is a lesson. Every pause is a breath. Every conversation is a practice. And this understanding fills you with a new kind of calm confidence. A quiet confidence. As the day continues, you decide to take one final challenge. You step into a small bookstore. You walk between the shelves, smelling new paper and old stories. You find a book with a simple English title, maybe something about travel or growth or self-improvement. You walk to the counter and ask the shopkeeper, "Do you have other books like this?" And again, you are understood. Again, your voice is clear. Again, you succeed. The shopkeeper shows you a few more books and asks where you are from. A short conversation begins. Simple, friendly, human. And you feel yourself becoming a little more open, a little more confident, a little more connected. When you leave the bookstore, the sky is beginning to turn orange again. The day is almost ending. But inside you, the day has given you something precious: experience. Real experience. Human experience. And experience is the true teacher of confidence. You walk home slowly. The streets feel familiar now. The voices feel softer. The noise feels more musical. The city does not feel like a challenge anymore. It feels like a partner, a companion, a place where you can practice, grow, learn, and strengthen your voice every day. When you finally open your front door and step into your room, you feel a deep sense of peace. You sit down on your bed or chair and think back on the day. You spoke to a barista. You spoke to a stranger in the park. You spoke to someone in a shop. You practiced your rhythm. You practiced your clarity. You practiced your presence. And most importantly, you discovered something powerful. Your voice is not small. It is not weak. It is not broken. Your voice is growing. Your voice is learning. Your voice is opening. The takeaway of today becomes clear to you. Confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you build, brick by brick, word by word, breath by breath. And today, you build a strong foundation. And so, the day ends with a quiet sense of accomplishment. You understand that communication is not a mountain you climb once. It is a road you walk every day. And tomorrow, you will walk again. With a clearer voice. With a calmer heart. With a stronger sense of yourself. The next morning arrives quietly, almost shyly, as if the world wants to give you a soft beginning after such a full day. The sunlight slides into your room gently, touching your walls, your desk, your pillow, and finally your eyes. You wake slowly, stretching your body and letting your breath fill your chest with new air, new energy, new possibilities. Today feels different. Not heavy, not busy, but meaningful. Today, you will step into a new part of your journey. Yesterday, the city was your classroom. Today, you will walk into what I call the workshop of words, a place where you learn how to shape your voice, shape your sentences, shape your thoughts, and shape the way you share yourself with the world. This workshop is not a real building made of bricks or wood. It is a place you carry inside you, a place you enter whenever you want to understand your voice more deeply. And today, you decide to enter it fully. You get dressed slowly and sit at your small table with a notebook or a piece of paper or maybe your phone. You look at the blank page in front of you. It feels big empty and full of possibility. You take a breath, and then you write your first question. What does clear communication mean to me? You stare at the words. They feel important. You think quietly and then begin to answer in simple English. You write something like, clear communication means people understand me easily. It means I feel calm when I speak. It means I can express my ideas without fear. Your answer is simple, but it is true. And the moment you write it, something inside you becomes clearer. You are defining your goal with your own words. And when you define a goal, it becomes real. It becomes something you can touch. You write a second question. Why do I lose confidence when I speak? This question is harder. You think longer this time. Your answer might be something like, I lose confidence when I feel people are waiting for me. I lose confidence when I forget words. I lose confidence when I speak too fast. I lose confidence when I feel judged. And writing these things makes you feel lighter. Because when you understand the reasons for your fear becomes smaller. When you know the shape of the problem, you can begin to shape the solution. You take another breath and write a third question. What do I want my voice to feel like? This question surprises you. You never asked yourself this before. But you think carefully and write something like, I want my voice to feel calm. I want my voice to feel warm. I want my voice to feel strong but gentle. I want my voice to feel like me. And when you read your answer, you smile a little. Because now you understand something important. Confidence is not about sounding like someone else. It is about sounding like yourself in the way you want to sound. After finishing these questions, you close your notebook or lock your phone screen. You feel more grounded, more centered, more aware of your inner voice. But the workshop is not finished. You stand up, stretch your body, and decide to take a walk again, but this time with a clear purpose. You are not walking to practice conversations with strangers. You are walking to practice awareness, the quiet skill behind every confident speaker. As you walk outside, the world feels familiar but new. The air is cool. The streets are waking up. People are beginning their day. Children with backpacks, workers with coffee cups, delivery drivers moving quickly. You walk slowly, not rushing, not pushing yourself. You listen to the rhythm of your footsteps. You feel the ground under you. You breathe in, breathe out. You look around with open eyes. This calm awareness is the foundation for clear speaking. When your mind moves too fast, your words become confused. When your mind is calm, your words become clear. So you walk with this calmness, training your voice before you even speak. You reach a small community center near a quiet street. You didn't plan to enter, but something inside you pulls you toward it. On the front door, a poster catches your eye. Evening conversation group. Practice English, meet people, build confidence. The words feel like a message designed exactly for you. You stand there for a moment, reading the poster again. Part of you feels excited. Part of you feels nervous. Part of you feels unsure. But you remember your journey. You remember your breath. You remember your new rhythm. And you decide right there, you will attend this group later today. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to show up. The rest of the day moves gently. You go home, eat something simple, and rest. But inside, you are preparing. Not with grammar books. Not with vocabulary lists. You are preparing emotionally. You are preparing mentally. You remind yourself, I can speak slowly. I can breathe. I can pause. I can be myself. And these thoughts give you strength. When the evening comes, you walk back to the community center. The sun is low, painting the sky with gold and pink. You feel the familiar nervousness in your stomach, but this time it feels softer, like a friend reminding you that this moment matters. You walk inside and find a small circle of people, maybe 6 or 7. Some look shy. Some look confident. Some look curious. A friendly woman welcomes you and says, "Hi. Welcome to the conversation group. You can sit anywhere." You smile and sit down. The group begins with simple introductions. One by one, people share their names, their countries, their reasons for learning English. When it's your turn, your heart beats faster. But you take a slow breath. You speak your name, where you're from, and why you want to improve your communication. Your voice shakes a little, but it is clear. And when you finish, everyone smiles and nods. This simple moment gives you a small boost of confidence. The group leader introduces an activity called 1-minute stories. Each person has to speak for 1 minute about a picture on the table. The picture in front of you shows a small boat in the middle of a calm lake. When it becomes your turn, you feel nervous again. But you remember your rhythm. You remember the power of the pause. You begin gently. This picture reminds me of quiet moments. You pause. You breathe. You continue. It makes me think of a time when I was near a lake, and I felt peaceful. Your voice grows steadier as you go on. You describe the picture slowly, simply, calmly. You are not perfect. You forget a word once. But you smile and say, "Let me find the word," and the group waits. No judgment. No pressure. And then the word comes back to you. You finish your 1-minute story, and the group claps softly. That clap feels like a warm blanket around your shoulders. You did it. Another activity begins. This time, the group works in pairs. You sit across from a man who looks about your age. He smiles and says, "Hi, I'm Daniel." You smile back and introduce yourself again, this time more naturally. The activity is simple. Each person shares a short story about a time they had difficulty communicating. Daniel goes first. He tells you about a job interview where he misunderstood the questions and felt embarrassed. His story is honest, human, and funny. You laugh together, and the laughter relaxes you. Then it is your turn. You share a story about a moment when you couldn't find the right English words and felt stuck. As you speak, you notice something interesting. You sound more confident when you talk to one person than a whole group. You speak slowly and simply. Daniel listens carefully, nodding kindly. When you finish, he says, "I understand. I feel the same sometimes." And you realize something powerful. You're not alone. Everyone here is learning. Everyone here is growing. Everyone here is trying. As the session continues, the room becomes warmer with connection. People laugh, share memories, make mistakes together, and learn from each other. You begin to enjoy the small moments, the nods, the smiles, the gentle corrections, the shared understanding. You feel your confidence growing not from your own success, but from the collective energy of people learning together. Then comes the final activity of the evening. The leader invites everyone to describe something they love, something meaningful. She says, "Speak slowly. Speak simply. Speak from the heart." One by one, people speak. Someone talks about their grandmother. Someone talks about cooking. Someone talks about music. Someone talks about their child. The stories are simple, but they are full of emotion. And you realize something very important. Emotion can make your voice clear. When you speak from your heart, your words become real. Simple. Honest. Understandable. When it's your turn, you feel the weight of the moment, but it is a good weight, a warm weight. You begin softly. "I want to talk about something I love, something that gives me peace." You pause. You breathe. You let the words come slowly. "I love evening walks, when the city becomes quiet and the air feels soft." You talk about how walking helps you clear your mind, how silence helps you hear your true voice, how simple moments help you feel connected to yourself. As you speak, you feel a surprising calm move through your body. Your voice is steady. Your words are gentle. And for the first time in a long time, you feel completely confident, not because you are perfect, but because you are present. When you finish, the group nods and smiles warmly. No applause this time, but the silence itself feels like a soft, beautiful compliment. You feel seen. You feel heard. You feel understood. The session ends, and people begin talking casually. Some exchange phone numbers. Some plan to meet again next week. Daniel turns to you and says, "You spoke really well." You feel a warm glow inside and thank him. You walk outside into the cool night air. The sky is dark, sprinkled with stars. You breathe deeply and feel something powerful rising in your chest, a sense of progress, a sense of pride, a sense of transformation. As you walk home, your mind feels quiet and clear. Today, in the workshop of words, you learn something essential. Communication is not just about speaking. It is about understanding yourself. It is about being kind to yourself. It is about practicing without pressure. It is about sharing pieces of your life with others in simple, human ways. And the biggest takeaway of today becomes clear. Confidence grows when you let your true voice come out slowly, simply, honestly. You reach your home, step inside, and sit down, letting the day settle inside your heart. You whisper to yourself, "I am growing." And you smile. Because it is true. The next morning begins with a soft gray sky, the kind of sky that makes the world feel quiet and thoughtful. You wake slowly, not because you are tired, but because your mind feels full of new ideas. New feelings, new confidence. The conversation group from yesterday still sits warmly in your memory, like a small fire glowing in your chest. You remember the faces, the gentle nods, the shared stories, the simple emotions. You remember how your voice felt calm, steady, open. And the more you think about it, the more you understand something important. Every moment of communication is like a mirror. A mirror that reflects not your grammar or your vocabulary, but your inner world, your emotions, your mindset, your relationship with your own voice. As you sit up in bed, you realize that today's journey will not be about outer communication. It will be about inner communication. The mirror of understanding is not a physical mirror in your room. It is the mirror inside your thoughts, inside your heart, inside the space where your ideas become words. Today, you will look into that mirror. Not with fear, not with judgment, but with curiosity. Because to speak clearly to others, you must first learn to speak clearly to yourself. You stand up slowly, stretch your body, and walk to the window. You look outside at the quiet street, the slow movement of people beginning their day. The world looks calm, but inside your mind, thoughts begin to move. You ask yourself a simple question: why do I sometimes feel nervous when I speak? And suddenly, memories appear. Times when someone misunderstood you. Times when you felt embarrassed. Times when your voice shook. Times when you stayed silent because silence felt safer. These memories are not pleasant, but they are important. Because today, in this new chapter of your journey, you will not run away from them. You will understand them. You make a warm drink and sit down at your small table again. The same table where you wrote your questions yesterday. The air feels still. You breathe slowly and say to yourself, "Today, I will listen to my inner voice." And that simple promise already changes something inside you. You take out your notebook and write the words, "What stops me from communicating clearly?" And then you close your eyes. You breathe. You let the answer rise naturally, not forcing it, not pushing it. The first answer that comes is this: "I am afraid of being judged." You write it down. You let the words sit quietly on the page. The second answer comes: "I am afraid of making mistakes." You write that too. Then another: "I think too fast and speak too fast." Then another: "Sometimes I forget words and feel embarrassed." You write them all. Every fear, every doubt, every quiet worry. You do not fight them. You do not hide them. You let them speak. And as you write, something soft happens. The fears begin to lose their power. Because fears grow strongest when they live in the dark. But when you bring them into the light, when you name them, when you give them shape, they stop feeling like mountains and start feeling like small stones. Still there, but no longer impossible. After writing for a while, you stop and look at the list. You notice something interesting. Every fear you wrote is about how you think others see you. Every worry is about judgment, mistakes, speed, pressure. None of these fears come from your intelligence. None come from your ability to learn. They all come from the feeling of being observed. And this realization becomes the beginning of a deeper understanding. Confidence is not a language problem. Confidence is an emotional problem. And emotions can be understood. They can be shaped. They can be softened. You close your notebook gently and stand up. You walk to your mirror, your real mirror this time, the one hanging on your wall. You look at yourself, your eyes, your mouth, your face. You see the person who has been trying, learning, growing. You focus on your reflection and you say softly, I am learning. I am growing. I am enough. At first, these words feel strange. But then, something warms inside your chest. You realize how rarely you speak kindly to yourself. How often you push yourself. How often you judge yourself. And suddenly, a new understanding appears. You cannot speak confidently to others if you speak harshly to yourself. You breathe deeply, letting this understanding settle inside you like warm sunlight. And then you make a quiet decision, a decision that will change the way you communicate forever. From today on, you will be gentle with yourself. You will speak slowly to yourself. You will encourage your own voice. You will listen to your own thoughts without judgment. Because clarity begins inside. Confidence begins inside. Calmness begins inside. Feeling a quiet strength building within you, you decide to step outside. Not to meet anyone. Not to practice conversations. But simply to walk with yourself, to understand your inner rhythm more deeply. The gray sky makes the city look softer, calmer, more thoughtful. You walk slowly, listening to the sound of your steps, the whisper of the wind, the distant hum of cars. You feel connected to the world, but even more connected to yourself. As you walk, you whisper simple sentences to yourself. Not to practice English, but to practice inner clarity. I can speak clearly. I can take my time. I don't need to rush. My voice matters. These sentences feel like gentle stones placed neatly inside your mind, building a calm foundation. And you realize something new. Self-talk is not strange. Self-talk is a tool. A powerful tool. When you speak to yourself with kindness, your real communication improves naturally. You continue walking and arrive at a small bridge over a quiet river or canal. You lean over the railing and look at your reflection in the water. The surface moves gently, bending your face into soft shapes. And you realize something profound. Communication is like water. When your mind is turbulent, your words become unclear, just like water becomes messy when it is shaken. But when your mind is calm, your words become smooth, clear, reflective, honest. And looking at your reflection, you understand that you are learning not just to speak, but to be. But just as you begin to feel completely calm, an unexpected moment appears. A stranger walks up beside you and says, "Beautiful view, isn't it?" You didn't expect anyone to speak to you. Your calm breaks for a moment. You feel a small jump in your chest. But instead of panicking, you breathe. You remember your mirror. You remember your inner clarity. You turn to the stranger and say simply yes. Very peaceful. Your voice is soft but steady. Natural. Clear. The stranger smiles and says something about the river, the weather, or the quiet morning. You respond with simple sentences. And to your surprise, the conversation feels easy. Not because you know every word, but because your mind is calm. Your inner mirror is clean. Your voice is supported by your gentleness toward yourself. And this teaches you something powerful. Communication becomes difficult not when others speak, but when your mind becomes loud. You finish the conversation after a minute or two. The stranger walks away. And you stand there on the bridge, realizing you just had another spontaneous conversation, and it felt peaceful, natural, calm. And this moment becomes one of your biggest realizations so far. Clarity begins with inner peace. Confidence begins with self-understanding. Communication begins within you. As you continue walking home, something inside you feels transformed. You are not fighting your voice anymore. You are not judging your mistakes. You are understanding yourself. And this understanding is becoming your new strength. When you reach your home and close the door gently behind you, the quiet warmth of your room surrounds you like a soft blanket. The gray light from outside rests on your furniture, your books, your walls, giving everything a calm, peaceful glow. You sit down on your bed or your favorite chair, and for a long moment you simply breathe. It feels different now. Your breath feels like a friend. Your breath feels like a guide. Your breath feels like the very beginning of communication, not just breath for life, but breath for clarity, breath for confidence, breath for your voice. As you breathe, you feel the reflection of the day inside you. You feel how understanding yourself changes the way you speak. You feel how your inner calm shapes your outer voice. And you begin to understand that communication is not a performance you give, it is a relationship you build, with others, yes, but also with yourself. You open your notebook again. The page from the morning still shows your list of fears, your doubts, your emotional barriers. But now you feel ready to write something new. Something opposite. Something healing. You write at the top of the page, "How can I support myself when I speak?" And slowly, gently, one by one, new answers appear. I can breathe before I speak. I can give myself time. I can use simple sentences. I can pause without fear. I can be patient with my mind. I can accept mistakes. I can speak kindly to myself. As you write each answer, you feel a soft strength rising inside you, like a quiet light turning on in a dark room. These simple phrases, these small promises, become the beginning of your new speaking identity. A calmer identity. A kinder identity. A more confident identity. After writing for a while, you put the notebook aside and stand in front of your mirror again. But this time, you do not study your face for imperfections or worry about how you look. This time, you speak to your reflection as if you are speaking to a friend who needs encouragement. You say something like, "You are doing well." Then, "You are learning." Then, "You don't have to rush." The words feel soft, warm, and surprisingly emotional. You notice how your shoulders relax, how your jaw loosens, how your face softens. And you realize something truly important. Your body listens to your words. Your emotions listen to your words. And your confidence listens to your words. Your inner dialogue becomes your outer voice. You decide to practice a simple exercise. You speak slowly to yourself in the mirror, saying your thoughts out loud. Not complicated thoughts, just simple ones. I feel calm. I am practicing. I am improving. I will speak slowly today. And the more you say these words, the more natural they feel. You begin to trust your own voice. You begin to enjoy hearing yourself speak. And without even noticing it, your pronunciation becomes clearer. Your rhythm becomes smoother. Your voice becomes warmer. Not because you are forcing anything, but because you are speaking with love instead of fear. After this gentle exercise, you sit by your window and watch the soft gray sky gradually shift to a pale blue. You think about the stranger you met on the bridge. That simple, short conversation, 2 sentences, maybe 3, suddenly feels like a powerful moment. Because in that moment, your inner voice supported your outer voice. When the stranger spoke, you didn't freeze. You didn't panic. You didn't run away. You spoke simply because your mind was calm. And now, sitting by the window, you begin to understand the deep lesson hidden in that moment. Clarity does not begin with speaking. It begins with listening to yourself. Listening to your breath. listening to your emotions, listening to your thoughts before they become words. You close your eyes for a moment and imagine your mind as a lake. Yesterday, it was full of small waves, fear waves, worry waves, memory waves. But now, the lake feels smoother, softer, quieter. And you understand why speaking felt easier today. When your mind is calm, your words can float like small boats across the surface. When your mind is rough, even simple words can sink. This image stays with you, quietly powerful, like a memory of a dream that teaches you something real. The afternoon passes slowly. You cook something simple, maybe a warm soup or a small snack. You listen to your own breathing as you move around your kitchen. You speak quietly as you cook, describing your actions. I'm stirring the pot. I'm cutting vegetables. The smell is nice. This small, private practice helps you connect your thoughts with your voice. It feels easy, natural, even comforting. You realize you can practice communication anywhere, with anything at any moment. You do not need a teacher. You do not need a classroom. You only need awareness. Later in the day, you decide to take a short walk again. The sky is brighter now and the city feels more alive. You watch people talking on the sidewalks, chatting on phones, laughing in small groups, speaking loudly or softly or quickly or slowly. Every voice is different. Every rhythm is different. Every style is different. And you realize something freeing. There is no perfect way to speak. There is only your way, your voice, your rhythm. And the more you accept this, the more your confidence grows. As you walk, you pass a small shop where a woman is arranging flowers in a window display. The flowers are bright and colorful, a beautiful contrast to the earlier gray sky. You stop for a moment, admiring them. The woman sees you looking and smiles. Beautiful, aren't they? She says. And again, without fear, you respond, yes, very beautiful. She continues talking, maybe mentioning the season or the scent or the special meaning of a certain flower. You reply with simple sentences, feeling a gentle confidence growing inside you. This is your third spontaneous conversation in 2 days. And each one feels easier than the last. You keep walking, your steps light, your heart calm. You begin to understand that communication is not something far away. It is not something you must chase. It is already here, inside you, waiting to be opened, waiting to be trusted. And trust is exactly what you are building slowly, gently, naturally. As the day begins to fade, you return home once more. The sky has turned a soft golden color. You sit at your table, the same table where your journey into the mirror of understanding began this morning. And now, at the end of the day, you write one final sentence in your notebook, "My voice is becoming my friend." And when you read those words, you feel a warmth spread through your chest, a feeling of peace, of truth, of growth. You close your notebook, sit back, and breathe deeply. You feel different. Stronger, but softer. More confident, but more calm. Clearer, but also more open. And as the quiet of the evening wraps around you, you understand the biggest takeaway of this chapter. Confidence does not come from speaking perfectly. Confidence comes from understanding yourself, supporting yourself, and speaking from a place of inner peace. The next morning begins with a soft golden light spilling through your curtains, warmer than yesterday, brighter than the gray sky you woke to before. You open your eyes slowly, feeling rested, steady, and strangely excited. Something inside you knows that today will be different. Today, you are ready for a new challenge, not the quiet understanding of yourself, not the gentle exploration of your inner voice, but the next step, real conversations. Not small talk with strangers, not spontaneous exchanges on the street, but deeper conversations. Conversations that require presence, clarity, attention, and confidence. Conversations that ask you to share more than observations, they ask you to share pieces of yourself. As you sit up, stretching your arms and feeling the warmth of the morning, you remember everything you've learned these last few days. You remember the small classroom with the yellow lights. You remember the city full of voices. You remember the conversation group where your voice first grew stronger. You remember the mirror of understanding and how your inner calm helped your outer communication. And now you realize something important. Everything you've done has slowly prepared you for this moment. You have been building a foundation step by step, like a traveler preparing for a long journey. And today, you will step onto the next part of the path. You get dressed, make something simple to eat, and look out the window. The city looks awake, alive, full of energy. People move with purpose. Cars roll past. Voices float up gently like morning smoke. You take a long, deep breath and say softly to yourself, "Today, I will speak with confidence." The words feel natural now. Not forced. Not strange. Just true. You look at your phone and notice a message from Daniel, the person you spoke with during the conversation group. His message is simple. "Hey, a few of us from the group are meeting at a cafe this afternoon to practice more English. Do you want to come?" You stare at the message for a moment. Part of you feels excited. Another part of you feels nervous. A deeper conversation in a small group without a teacher. This is new. This is real. But you remember everything you learned. You know you can speak slowly. You know you can pause. You know you can breathe. You know you can support yourself. So you smile and type back, "Yes, I'd love to join." The rest of the morning moves quietly. You walk around your room, preparing your mind the same way someone prepares before a long hike, slowly, gently, thoughtfully. You remind yourself of something important. Clarity is not perfection. Clarity is simple words spoken calmly, spoken honestly. Confidence is not loudness. Confidence is presence, awareness, and kindness toward yourself. With these reminders, you feel ready. Later in the afternoon, with the sun shining high and warm in the sky, you make your way toward the cafe. The moment you step inside, the smell of roasted coffee beans and fresh pastries wraps around you like a welcoming hug. The cafe is bright, filled with soft music and gentle conversation. You spot Daniel and two others from the group sitting at a round table near the window. They wave at you, smiling warmly. You smile back and walk over. As you sit down, the atmosphere feels friendly and easy. Daniel says, "I'm glad you came." The others greet you. You feel a small wave of nervousness, but also excitement. This is a safe place. A place to practice. A place to grow. You order a drink and take a slow breath. Then the conversation begins. At first, the group talks about simple things, work, weekend plans, favorite foods. The conversation moves gently, passing from one person to another like a soft ball being tossed in a circle. You speak when you want to, using simple sentences. You listen when others speak. You smile, nod, and ask questions. It feels natural. Nothing heavy. Nothing difficult. But then, slowly, the conversation deepens. Daniel asks, "What's the hardest thing about learning English for you?" And suddenly the air feels more meaningful, more honest, more open. One of the other group members says, "For me, it's speaking without translating." Another says, "For me, it's thinking too fast and losing the sentence." You nod, because you understand these things. You feel these things. And then all eyes gently turn to you. You take a small breath and speak calmly. "The hardest thing for me is being afraid of judgment." The group nods immediately. They understand. You continue slowly, choosing each word with care. "Sometimes I worry too much about mistakes." And then my voice becomes small. You expect embarrassment to rise, but it doesn't. Instead, you feel relieved. The honesty feels clean. Fresh. Freeing. You look around, and every face is warm. Supportive. Connected. Daniel says softly, I understand that completely. Someone else adds, we all feel that way. And this moment becomes one of the first big lessons of this new chapter. Real conversations begin with honesty. When you speak honestly, you speak clearly, even if your grammar is not perfect, even if your vocabulary is simple. Emotion brings clarity. Truth brings connection. And connection brings confidence. The conversation continues. Each person shares something deeper: fears, goals, dreams, challenges. The cafe noise fades away as you all talk. You find yourself speaking more openly than you expected. Not because your English is perfect, but because the atmosphere feels safe. You talk about why you're learning English, what you hope to do in the future, why communication matters to you. And as you speak, something surprising happens. You forget to be afraid. You forget to translate. You forget to judge yourself. You simply speak. At one point, someone asks you a thoughtful question. What helps you stay calm when you speak? You pause not because you don't know, but because you want to find the truest answer. And then it comes softly, breathing, and being kind to myself. The group nods again, deeply. Daniel says, that's beautiful. And you smile, realizing how far you've come. After more conversation, someone suggests a small activity. Each person shares a short story about a meaningful moment in their life. Not a big moment, not a dramatic moment, just a meaningful one. You listen as the others go first. Stories about family, travel, childhood memories, difficult decisions, happy surprises. And then it's your turn. Your heart beats a little faster. You take a slow breath. And you begin. You speak about a simple moment, maybe a walk you took, a quiet memory from childhood, a moment when someone helped you, or a moment when you felt proud of yourself. You speak slowly, carefully, but with emotion. You notice how everyone listens closely. They don't interrupt. They don't rush you. They follow your rhythm. And your confidence grows with every sentence. When you finish, there is a soft silence, one of appreciation, not awkwardness. Someone says, thank you for sharing that. Another says, your story is beautiful. And inside, you feel something open even wider, a deeper trust in your own voice. By the time the cafe meeting ends, you feel lighter, freer, more connected. You step outside with the group, the warm sun touching your face, and you realize something powerful. Deeper conversations are not scarier than small conversations. They are easier because they come from your heart. And when you speak from your heart, clarity grows naturally. As you walk home, you feel the energy of the day flowing through you. You feel proud. You feel calm. You feel changed. Today, you didn't just practice speaking. You practiced being yourself in English. And that is the true path of real conversations. When you arrive home after the cafe meeting, you close the door behind you and stand in the quiet of your room, letting the soft silence settle around you. You take off your shoes slowly, almost carefully, because your mind is still full of everything that happened, every sentence, every smile, every moment of connection. It almost feels unreal. A part of you wants to sit down and replay the conversations in your head, but another part of you simply wants to breathe and feel the warmth of the day inside your chest. So you stand there, leaning lightly against the wall, letting your heartbeat slow, letting your breath become soft. After a few moments, you walk to the table where your notebook waits. You sit down and open it, seeing the words you wrote earlier, your promises, your reflections, your new understanding of yourself. You take the pen and write slowly. Today, I had real conversations. You pause, watching the ink dry. The sentence feels quiet but powerful. You continue, I spoke honestly. I listened deeply. I shared myself. And it felt good. As the words appear on the page, you feel the truth of them, not only in your mind but in your body. You feel lighter, as if something important has shifted inside you. You close your eyes and relive the scene at the cafe. You see the warm sunlight falling through the window. You see the faces of the people listening to you. You hear the soft music in the background, the clinking of cups and plates, the comfortable hum of voices mixing gently together. But what stands out the most in your memory is not the noise or the setting, it is the feeling of being understood. Not perfectly, not completely, but meaningfully. You realize that real conversations are not about perfect words, they are about shared understanding. As you sit with this realization, you begin to understand something deeper. Communication is not a skill you perform. It is a bridge you build. A bridge between your inner world and someone else's. And today, for the first time in a long time, you built that bridge with ease. You didn't think about grammar. You didn't worry about mistakes. You didn't rush. You didn't hide behind silence. You stepped forward. You showed yourself. And people accepted you. Not for perfect English, but for your truth. Feeling inspired, you stand up and walk toward the window. Outside, the sun is beginning to lower, painting the sky in warm shades of orange and soft pink. The world looks peaceful, almost gentle. You rest your hands on the windowsill and let the light touch your face. You think about the questions people asked you at the cafe, about fear, about calmness, about your journey. And you realize that by speaking about your fears, you became stronger. By speaking slowly, you became clearer. By sharing yourself, you became more confident. This realization brings another understanding. Confidence is not something you wait for. Confidence is something you create moment by moment, breath by breath, conversation by conversation. And you created a piece of it today. You walk away from the window and sit on your bed, letting your body relax into the soft blankets. You stretch your legs. Then lie back for a moment, staring at the ceiling. The ceiling looks the same as always, but your mind feels different. You feel taller somehow, not in height, but in spirit. You feel more open, more grounded, more ready for the world. And this gentle feeling of readiness becomes the center of your reflection. After resting for a while, you get up again and make yourself something warm to drink. As you wait for the kettle to boil, you speak softly to yourself, not practicing English, but expressing your feelings. I did well today, you whisper. I am proud of myself. The words feel unfamiliar but comforting. You realize how rarely you give yourself praise. You are used to correcting yourself, pushing yourself, trying harder. But today, you deserve softness. Today, you deserve kindness. You take your drink to the table and sit down again. You flip to a new page in your notebook and write a short sentence at the top. What I learned today about real conversations. And the ideas begin to flow naturally. You write, real conversations need honesty. Then, real conversations need listening. Then, real conversations need calmness. Then, real conversations need presence. And finally, real conversations need trust. As you write each line, you feel something settle inside you, a quiet certainty that you are learning not only how to speak English, but how to communicate as a human. And that is much deeper, much richer, much more important. You begin to think about why deeper conversations felt easier than small talk. You realize that small talk requires quick reactions, quick questions, quick answers, quick responses. It demands energy. But deeper conversations move more slowly. They give you time. They give you space. They allow you to breathe, to think, to feel. And this slower rhythm matches your natural speaking rhythm in English. It supports you instead of pushing you. You sip your drink, feeling the warmth travel down your chest, and you think about the next step of your journey. You think about how you want to grow. You imagine having deeper conversations more often. You imagine speaking with clarity not just in friendly situations, but in challenging ones. You imagine talking about your ideas, your goals, your plans, your dreams, and feeling calm the whole time. And for the first time in your learning journey, you feel something new, excitement for future conversations, not fear of them. As the evening grows darker, you decide to take one more walk, just a short one. You put on a light jacket, step outside, and let the cool air touch your skin. The city feels different at this hour, quieter, softer, more reflective. Streetlights glow with a warm yellow light. People walk slowly, talking in low voices. The world feels peaceful. You walk with your hands in your pockets, your steps steady, your mind quiet. And as you move through the gentle evening, you feel a tremendous sense of gratitude. Gratitude for the people you met today. Gratitude for your own courage. Gratitude for your journey. Gratitude for the simple fact that you are growing every day. Every conversation, whether short or deep, becomes part of your transformation. You reach a small park and sit on a bench. You watch the wind move through the trees, making the leaves dance softly. You listen to the distant sound of someone laughing, someone talking, someone playing music. And sitting there, under the quiet sky, you say softly to yourself, "I am learning how to communicate with my whole self." That sentence stays in your mind like a soft flame. Warm, gentle, true. As you walk home afterward, the night feels calm around you. You unlock your door, step inside, and know that today has changed something deep within you. You no longer fear real conversations. You welcome them. You understand now that communication is not about being perfect, it is about being present. It is about being real. Tonight, you fall asleep with a peaceful heart, knowing that your voice is becoming more honest, more grounded, more confident, and more fully your own. The next morning arrives quietly, like a soft whisper brushing across your window. You open your eyes slowly, and for the first few seconds you simply lie still, feeling the softness of the pillow, the gentle warmth of your blanket, and the quiet, peaceful rhythm of your breath. You notice something immediately. You feel different. Not excited, not nervous, not unsure. You feel steady, clear, grounded. The conversations from yesterday flow warmly through your memory, like a gentle river moving calmly through your thoughts. And as you lie there, waking slowly, a new idea begins to form inside you. Communication is more than expressing feelings or telling stories. Communication can also be purposeful. It can guide, shape, inspire, and influence. Today, you feel ready to learn this next step, the art of speaking with purpose. You sit up and stretch your arms high above your head. Light streams softly through your curtains, warm and delicate. Everything around you looks ordinary, your small table, your notebook, your clothes folded on a chair, but inside, something quietly powerful begins to grow. You stand, walk to the kitchen, and make yourself something warm to drink. The simple sound of water boiling, the smell of tea or coffee rising gently into the air, all of it feels like part of a ritual. A beginning. A preparation. You take your cup and sit by the window, letting the warm steam touch your face. You watch people outside walking with purpose, heading to work, meeting friends, starting their day. Everyone looks like they have a direction. And you realize something important. Speaking with purpose begins with knowing your direction. Knowing what you want to say. Knowing why you are speaking. Knowing what you want the listener to feel or understand. Purpose gives your voice energy. Purpose gives your thoughts structure. Purpose makes communication easier. You open your notebook and write a simple question. Why do I want to speak clearly? The question feels bigger than the space on the paper. You sit quietly and wait for the answer to come naturally. And suddenly it rises, because I want to connect. You write it down slowly. Another answer appears, because I want to express my ideas. Another, because I want to understand and be understood. And then a deeper one, because I want to feel confident in myself. You look at the words, and you realize that purpose is not complicated. Purpose is simply the truth of your desire to communicate. You close the notebook and lean back in your chair, thinking about this idea of purpose. You realize that every conversation, whether short or long, easy or challenging, has a hidden purpose inside it. Sometimes the purpose is to ask for help. Sometimes it is to share feelings. Sometimes it is to solve a problem. Sometimes it is to build a relationship. Sometimes it is to express gratitude. And the stronger your purpose, the clearer your words become. As you reflect, a memory from long ago surfaces, a moment when you spoke without purpose and felt lost. You remember speaking quickly, trying to impress someone, trying to find the right words, but feeling disconnected from yourself. You remember how uncomfortable it felt. But now, with everything you've learned, you understand why that moment was difficult. You were focused on performance, not purpose. You were thinking about how you sounded, not what you needed to say. And this realization feels like a gentle door opening inside your mind. You decide to take a short morning walk to let your thoughts settle. You put on a light jacket, step outside, and breathe in the fresh air. The morning smells clean, like new beginnings. As you walk, your thoughts flow naturally. What does it mean to speak with purpose? How does purpose help with clarity? How can purpose guide your conversations? You walk through a small street lined with trees. Sunlight filters through the branches, creating soft patterns on the ground. You hear the quiet conversation of two people standing near a bakery. Their voices are low and gentle. You hear someone on the phone nearby, speaking with emotion. Everywhere you look, people are communicating with tone, with gestures, with expressions. And you realize something profound. Communication is everywhere, and purpose moves inside every voice like an invisible current. As you continue walking, you pass a small bookstore with a sign outside that says, "Free discussion hour today, share your thoughts." You pause. You look at the sign again. The idea of joining a discussion group feels a little scary, but also exciting. This is not a conversation lesson. It is not a language exchange. It is a real discussion, a place where people share opinions, ideas, perspectives. And you feel a soft energy inside your chest, a gentle push that says, maybe today is the day. But instead of deciding immediately, you keep walking. You let the idea sit quietly inside your mind. You think about what it means to speak your opinion, to express your thoughts clearly, to share your viewpoint with confidence. This is another level of communication, one that requires courage, intention, and purpose. You reach a small park and sit on a bench. The park is peaceful, with birds singing lightly and people walking their dogs. You take out your notebook again and write, "What is my purpose when I share my opinion?" The answers come quickly this time. To express myself honestly, to understand others, to learn, to grow, to connect, to add something valuable. These answers make you feel grounded. They remind you that speaking with purpose is not about winning or convincing. It is about contributing. You sit there for a long time, letting the morning breeze move gently across your skin. Then, finally, you make a decision. You will go to the discussion hour. Your heart beats a little faster, but not with fear. With anticipation. With readiness. You get up, walk back toward the bookstore, and step inside. The bookstore smells like warm paper and old stories. A few people are already sitting in a small circle near the back. A friendly-looking woman greets you and says, "We're just about to start. You're welcome to join us." You smile nervously but sincerely and take a seat. The discussion begins with a simple topic, something light, maybe books, movies, travel, or something happening in the city. Each person takes a turn speaking. You listen carefully, feeling the rhythm of the conversation. You feel the energy moving from one person to another, soft but steady. Then the moment arrives. The woman leading the group turns to you and asks gently, "What do you think?" You take a slow breath. You let the air fill your lungs. You let your mind settle. And you remember your purpose, to express yourself honestly, to connect, to share something meaningful. And you speak. Slowly, simply, clearly. You share your idea, your opinion, or your experience. You don't rush. You don't try to sound perfect. You speak with intention. And as the words leave your mouth, you feel a sense of control, a sense of presence. You feel your purpose guiding your voice like a quiet compass. When you finish, the group nods. Someone responds thoughtfully. Someone smiles. Someone adds to your idea. And in that moment, you feel something extraordinary. Your voice did not just travel into the air, it created movement in the room. It shaped the direction of the discussion. It made a difference. Your purpose gave your words power. As the discussion continues, you speak again, not often, but enough. Each time you speak, you feel more confident, more grounded, more clear. When the session ends, people thank you for your ideas. Someone tells you, "I really liked what you said." And their words touch you deeply. You step outside the bookstore feeling taller, lighter, more sure of yourself. You walk down the street with a quiet smile, knowing that today you reached a new level in your journey. You didn't just communicate, you contributed. You didn't just speak, you spoke with purpose. And as you walk home, the world feels bigger, more open, more full of possibilities. Your voice is becoming not only a tool for expression, but a tool for meaning. After leaving the bookstore, you step onto the quiet street, letting the soft afternoon sun touch your face. The world seems calmer, slower, more deliberate, and somehow, that mirrors the way you now speak. You notice the small details, the patterns of light on the pavement, the distant sound of children playing, the gentle hum of a car passing by. Each sound, each sight, becomes part of your awareness. And you realize that speaking with purpose is connected to this awareness. The more present you are, the more deliberate your words can become. The more deliberate your words, the more clearly your intentions shine through. You take a long, deep breath and reflect on the conversation you just had. It was not perfect. Your sentences were sometimes simple. You paused more than usual. And yet, somehow, it felt right. It felt real. It felt meaningful. You think about why that is. The answer is simple. Your purpose carried your voice. Your intention shaped your message. And when purpose leads, mistakes seem smaller. Pauses seem natural. Words feel strong even when they are simple. You continue walking, letting your mind explore these ideas. You think about all the moments you have spoken recently, the bridge conversation, the cafe group, your discussions at home, and now the bookstore session. You see a pattern emerging. Each time, you prepared your mind, you focused on your breath, you connected with your feelings, and you aligned your purpose. And every time, your confidence grew, step by step, conversation by conversation. As you wander through the streets, you pass a small park and decide to sit on a bench. A gentle breeze flows through the trees. You close your eyes for a moment and imagine your future conversations. You see yourself speaking to different people, friends, colleagues, strangers, teachers, with clarity and calm. You imagine sharing ideas, expressing opinions, telling stories, listening deeply. And now, for the first time, you do not feel fear. You feel anticipation. You feel curiosity. You feel readiness. Opening your eyes, you pull out your notebook again and write at the top of the page, "How can I speak with purpose every day?" The answers appear naturally. Focus on intention. Speak from honesty. Listen before speaking. Pause and breathe. Understand what I want to communicate. Respect the other person's perspective. As you write each phrase, a sense of clarity grows within you. You begin to see that speaking with purpose is not an occasional skill. It is a habit, a way of life, a mindset. You notice a young man sitting nearby reading a book. You imagine starting a small conversation with him, maybe asking about the book. A part of you hesitates, thinking about whether your English is enough, whether your words will be understood, whether the interaction will be smooth. But then you remind yourself of everything you have learned. Clarity comes from presence, confidence comes from honesty, purpose carries the voice. And with that thought, you take a deep breath and decide to say hello. Hi, you say softly, smiling. The young man looks up and smiles back. Hi, he responds. You ask about the book he is reading, and a gentle conversation begins. You listen carefully, you respond honestly, and you notice something important. Even this small, casual conversation feels different. You feel grounded. You feel connected. Your words are not hurried. They are not forced. They flow naturally because they are guided by purpose. You enjoy the rhythm, the give and take, the small moments of understanding forming with each sentence. After a few minutes, you thank him and continue your walk. You feel light, energized, and quietly proud. You understand that speaking with purpose is not only about formal discussions or storytelling. It is about every interaction, every sentence, every word you choose. It is about presence, clarity, and meaning. And that realization makes you feel powerful without arrogance, confident without fear. When you arrive home, the sun is lowering toward the horizon, casting a soft golden glow in your room. You sit at your table with your notebook and write one final reflection for the day. Purpose transforms my voice. Purpose shapes my thoughts. Purpose guides my confidence. Purpose connects me to others. As you write, you feel a calm completeness filling your mind and heart. Today, you did more than practice English. Today, you learned a deeper truth about communication. When your voice has purpose, it carries everything else with it: clarity, confidence, honesty, and connection. You close your notebook, take a deep, slow breath, and look at yourself in the mirror. Your expression is calm, your eyes are bright, your posture is gentle but upright. You notice the subtle change inside you, the quiet strength, the gentle assurance, the readiness to speak without fear. You smile softly. You are no longer just a student of English. You are a speaker, a communicator, a person who can share thoughts, feelings, and ideas with intention and care. And as you take another deep breath, you feel a strong sense of gratitude for your journey, for your practice, for the small but powerful steps that brought you here. You stand, stretch, and walk to the window. The city lights begin to twinkle as the evening deepens. You watch the world, thinking of all the conversations yet to come. And inside, you know this: each new conversation is an opportunity. An opportunity to connect. An opportunity to express. An opportunity to grow. And with purpose guiding your words, every opportunity becomes meaningful. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, you reflect on the lessons of this section. You understand that speaking with purpose is not a final destination. It is a living practice. It is awareness applied to voice. It is honesty applied to expression. It is connection applied to every word. And as you close your eyes, a soft, satisfied smile touches your face because you feel ready for tomorrow, for the next conversation, for the next opportunity to speak with clarity, confidence, and purpose.